Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Poetry Slam 2018. A very special welcome to our parents, to Father Hubka, and our other judges, which I'll introduce later on. I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Poetry Slam. And this is our 6th year, correct, Mrs. O'Neill? It's our 6th year. And the first time that I heard that we were doing a Poetry Slam, I was quite taken aback that in such a classical school, we're using a word like slam. And then Mrs. O'Neill explained to me how it was a celebration of the last day, because our very first ones took place right before Christmas. So we had our poetry competition, and we slammed the door in the school, and away we went for our holidays. And this is sort of like that too, because we have our week break coming up right now, so we're going to be slamming the door. We do this mostly because of the importance of memory work, recitation, presentation, things like that. And as we were planning for this, speaking of memory, we were asking ourselves, I asked myself, well, who was the MC last year? And what did I say and how did the program run? But through the magic of technology, it's on the YouTube channel. So we checked it out. And I saw that it was me. and how things worked and what we did. So that was great. And so technology is beautiful in that way. When I saw the recording of myself from last year, I thought, oh gosh, I hope Sean can do something this year with me. He didn't do last year. I don't know, Clark Gable or Earl Flynn or something like that. Yes, Clark Gable or... Perhaps the biggest benefit of reading and memorizing poetry, aside from an appreciation for the wondrous art form, is the immensely beneficial role it plays in the development of one's mind and intellectual ability. Children, in particular, are undergoing a stage of life in which they experience the most intellectual growth and changes. And poetry can help shape the framework and basis of their minds and encourage them to become more analytical and inquisitive by nature. Some of these kids have done, all the kids have done a wonderful job, as you'll see. Some pieces are quite extensive, quite long, and it really helps them, not only with their presentation, but their memory as well. Our judges this afternoon, their bios are in the program, so I'm simply going to ask them to stand and wave in unison. Reverend Father Hubka. Deacon Brian West. And Mrs. Frances Ewington. And before, speaking of memory, I forgot to say a prayer. Before we begin with our first presentation, I'm going to ask you just to join me in Our Father. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Son of the Holy Spirit. Okay, the show is to begin. We will start with our grade 3-4 classroom.
finest field by John Gray. The finest fields the poppies fall between the crosses well north. The marketplace in the sky flares so barely seen by scarcely any time. The other day, short days ago we lived, left on, suspicions of glow, love in the earth, and never the light in finest fields. Pick up the glove of the foe, to your feet belly hands, the field, touch me yours with pretty high, if you do this, the messenger, you should not sleep the hobby, the finest fields.
In your mercy, Lord, you call me, I desire kind. In your mercy, Lord, you called me, taught my simple heart and mind, else this world had still enthralled me, and to your glory kept me blind. Lord, I did not freely choose you, till by grace you set me free, for my heart would still refuse you, had your love not chosen me. Now my heart sits none above you, for your grace alone I thirst, knowing well, for if I love you, you, O Lord, have loved me first. I have a hot dog for a pet, the only kind my folks will let me get. He does smell sort of bad, and yet he absolutely never gets the sofa wet. We have a picture for a vet, which answers what you ever want. Guess we're the weirdest family yet to have a hot dog for a pet. A wicked old spider and it fills her with joy to catch. And it fills her with joy to catch at her boy. And weave all about them with terrible might and meshes of sinful life that hurt the soul.
A Boy Named Sue by SCHOLA Silverstein, later made popular in a song by Johnny Cash. Well, my daddy lived home when I was 3, he didn't live much. Ma and me just sold a tire and a bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him because he ruined the heat, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought it was quite a joke, and it got a lot of laughs from lots of folk. And it seems to me I'd have to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red. Some guy would laugh and I'd bust his head. Like Fanny's Boy Named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard and the wits got keen. Growing from town to town to hide my shame. Well, I made a vow to the moon and stars. I'd search the honky-tonks and bars and kill that man that gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July. I'd just sit down and my throat was dry. I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon, at a street of mud, at a table dealing stud, sat the dirty, mangy dog that named me Sue. I knew that snake was my old sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother had, and I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. Well, he was big and bent and gray and old, and I my blood ran cold. And I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? You're gonna die." Yes, I told him. And a fire right between the eyes went down, but to my surprise, came up the knife and cut off a piece of my ear. Well, I busted a chair and across his teeth and went through the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. I tell you, I fought tougher men. I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. Well, I heard him laughing and I heard him cussing. He went for his gun, but I pulled mine first. And he stood there looking at me, and I saw him smile. He said, "Son, this world's rough, and if a man's gonna make it through, he's gotta be tough." And I knew I would be there to help you along. So I gave that name and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that helps make you strong. Yeah, he said, "Son, you just fought me a hell of a fight, and I know you hate me, and you got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But before I die, you ought to thank me for growling a bit and spit in your eye, because I'm the guy that named you Sue." Yeah, what could I do? What could I do? I got all choked up, and I threw down my gun. I called him Paul, and he called me his son, and I come away with a different point of view. And I think about him every now and then, every time I try, and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George, anything but Sue.
Chubby little snowman, live and honest. A chubby little snowman had a carrot nose. Along came a bunny, and what do you suppose? That hungry little bunny, looking for his lunch, ate that snowman's carrot nose, nibble, nibble, crunch. My teacher wasn't half as nice as yours seems to be, by Roald Dahl. My teacher wasn't half as nice as yours seems to be. His name was Mr. Unsworth, and he taught us history. And when you didn't know it, he'd get you by the ear and twist while you sat there quite paralyzed with fear. He'd twist and twist and twist your ear and twist it more and more until at last the ear came off and landed on the floor. Our class was full of wonder girls. I'm certain there were 8 who'd had them twisted off because they didn't know a date. So let us now please teachers who today are also fine, and yours in particular is totally fine.
The Creature in the Classroom by Jack Polutsky. It appeared inside our classroom at 10:15. It gobbled up the blackboard, 3 erasers, and a pen. It gobbled teacher's apple, and it bopped her with the gore. "How dare you," she responded. "You must leave us. There's the door." The creature didn't listen, but described an arabesque as it gobbled all her pencils, 7 notebooks, and her desk. 7 notebooks and her desk. Teacher stated very calmly, "Sir, you simply cannot stay. I'll report you to the principal unless you go away." But the thing continued eating. It ate paper, swallowed ink, as it gobbled up her homework. I believe I saw it wink. Teacher finally lost her temper. "Ouch!" she shouted at the creature, and the creature hopped beside her and glop. It swallowed teacher.
Pirate Story by Robert Louis Stevenson. 3 of us afloat in the meadow by the spring. 3 of us aboard in the basket on the lee. Winds are in the air, they are blowing in spring, and waves are on the meadow like the waves that are at sea. Where shall we venture today that we're afloat, weary of weather steered by a star? Shall it be to Africa, steering of the boat, to Providence or Babylon, or up to Mount? I'm here to scald you, or roaring on the sea, catch along the meadow or charging over the roar. crook and real scared, they're as mad as they can be. The wicked is the harbor, the garden is the shore.
Misty Mountain by J.R.R. Tolkien. Far over the misty mountain cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to seek the pale enchanted gold. The dwarfs of yore made mighty spells, while hammer fell like ringing bells, in places deep where darksome sleep, in hollow halls beneath the fells. For ancient king and elvish lord, there many a gleaming golden hoard, they shaped and wrought and light did hot, to hide the gems on hilt of sword. On silver necklaces they strung, the flowering stars on crowns they hung. The dragon's ire in twisted wire, they meshed the light on moon and sun. Far over the misty mountain cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day to claim our long forgotten gold. Goblets they carved there for themselves, and harps of gold where no man dwells. There lay they long, and many a song was sung unheard by men or elves. The pines were roaring on the height, the wind was moaning in the night, the fire was red and flaming spread, the trees like torches blazed with light. The bells were ringing in the dale, and men looked up with faces pale. The dragon's arm more fierce than fire, laid low their towers and houses frail. The mountains smoked beneath the moon, the dwarfs they heard the tramp of doom. They fled their hall to downfall beneath his feet, beneath the moon. Far over the misty mountain grim, to dungeons deep and caverns dim, we must away ere break of day to win our hearts and gold from him.
The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear. The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some money and plenty of honey wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us get married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? So they sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the balm trees grow. And there in a wood, a piggywig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day with the turkey who lives on the hill. And they died on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon.
Books by Marjorie Knapp. If you have books on a rainy day, you need not care that the skies are gray. You will not be troubled by sound of rain beating against
Silverstein. There's a polar bear in a butcher there. He likes to quiz his cold there. With his teeth in the meat and his face in the fish and his big hairy paws in the buttery dish. He's numbling the noodles. He's munching the rice. He's slurping the soda. He's licking the ice. And he lets out a roar if you open the door. And gives me a scare to know he's in there. A polar bear floated there.
The Little Turtle by Michelle Lindsay. There was a little turtle, he lived in a box. He swam in a puddle, he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at the mosquito, he snapped at the flea. He snapped at the minnow, and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito, he caught the flea. He caught the minnow, he caught the flea. He caught the mosquito, but he didn't catch me.
Smart by Shel Silverstein. My dad gave me $1 bill because I'm the smartest son. And I swapped it for 2 shiny quarters. 2 is more than 1. And then I took the quarters and traded them to Lou for 3 dimes. I guess that he don't know that 3 is more than 2. And then along came Old Blind Bait. And just because he can't see, the fool gave me 5 pennies for it. Wait, 4 nickels for them. And 4 is more than 3. And then I took the nickel hair combs down at the seafood store, and the fool gave me 5 pennies for them. And 5 is more than 4. And then I went and showed my dad. He got red in the cheeks and closed his eyes and shook his head, too proud of me to speak.
Vespers by Mill. Little boy kneels at the foot of the bed, droops on the little hands, little boy's head. Hush, hush, whisper who dares. Christopher Robin sang his prayers. God bless Mommy. I know that's right. Isn't it fun in a the board's so cold and the heart's so hot. Oh, God, says Daddy. I quite forgot. If I open my fingers a little bit more, I can see Nanny's dressing gown on the door. It's a beautiful blue, but it hasn't a hood. Oh, God bless Nanny. It made her good. Mine has a hood, and I lie in bed, and I pull the hood right over my head. I shut my eyes, and I close a small. Nobody knows I'm there at all. Oh, thank you, God, for a lovely day. And what was the other I had to say? I said this, Daddy, so what can it be? Oh, now I remember. It's God bless me. Little boy kneels at the foot of the bed, droops on the little hands, little boy's head. Hush, hush, whisper who dares. Christopher Robin sang his prayers.
Little Boy Blue by James Fairday. Little Boy Blue, who's covered in milk, he sneezed on his mother and ruined her clothes. He spread mother covered and now she's sick. He put her to fire on Jack's candlestick. He sneezed his feelings while Humpty fell down. He drank her deeply while he went down. The blind was the name of the sheep that said, from now on use tissue for nonsense. Little Miss Muffet sat on The sky is prettier far than these. Thus Way by Robert Louis Stevenson. How do you like to go up in a swing? Up in the air so blue. Oh, I do think it's the pleasantest thing ever a child can do. Up in the air and over the wall, till I can see so wide. Rivers and trees and cattle and all, over the countryside, till I look down on the garden green, down on the roofs of brown. Up in the air I go flying again, up in the air and down. The Bear Snores On by Carmel Wilson. In a cave in the woods, it is deep, dark place. In the long, cold winter, sleeps a great brown bear, cuddled in a heap with his eyes shut tight. He sleeps through the day and he sleeps through the night. The cold winds howl and the night sounds growl, but the bear snores on. Itty bitty mouse, pitter pat, tiptoe, creep crawls in the cave from the fluff. Cold snow mouse speaks, too damp, too dark. So it lights wee twigs with a small hot spark. The coals pick, pop, and the wind doesn't stop, but the bear snores on. Two glowing eyes sleep in the den. Mouse cries, "Who's there?" And the hare hops in. Home mouse says, "Hare, long time no see." So they pop white corn and they brew black tea. Mouse sips, wee slurps, hare burps, big burps, but the bear snores on. A badger scuttles by, sniffs, snuffs in the air. "I smell yummy yums, perhaps we can share." "I brought honey nuts," badger says with a grin. Let's dig them up, cozy down and dig in. They nibble and they munch with a two-trunk crunch, but the bear snores on. A gopher and a mole tumble up through the floor, then a wren and a raven flutter in through the door. Mole mutters, "What a night, what a storm," twitters wren. So everybody clutters in the great bear's den. They tweet and they twitter and they chat and they chitter, but the bear snores on. In the cave in the woods, a slumbering bear sleeps through the party in his very own lair. Hare stokes the fire and mouse soothes his stick, then a small pepper flap makes the bear achoo. Bear blows and he sneezes, and the whole crowd freezes, and the bear wakes up. Bear gnarls and he snarls, bear roars and he rumbles, bear jumps and he stomps, bear growls and he grumbles. "You've snuck in my lair, you've all had fun, but me I was sleeping and I've had none." So he whimpers and he moans and he wails and he moans, and the bear flutters on. Mouse speaks, "Don't fret, don't fuss, look, see, we can pop more corn, we can brew more tea." Bear gulps, bear gobbles, bear sighs with delight, that he spins tall tales through the blustery night. When the sun peeks up on the crisp clear dawn, bear can't sleep, but his friends snore on.
justice cook the great big greedy nincompoop. How long could we allow this beast to gorge and guzzle, feed and feast on everything he wanted to? Great Scott, it simply wouldn't do. However long this pig might live, we're positive he never give even the smallest bit of fun or happiness to anyone. So what we do in cases such as if we use the gentle touch and carefully we take the brat and turn him into something that will give great pleasure to us all. A doll, for instance, or a ball, or marbles, or a rocking horse. But this revolting boy, of course, was so actually vile. So greedy, foul, and infantile, he left the most disgusting taste inside our mouths, and so in haste we chose a thing that, come what may, would take the nasty taste away. Come on, we cried, the time is right to send him shooting up the pipe. He has to go, it has to be. And very soon we're going to see it. Inside the room with which he's gone, some funny things are going on. But don't, dear children, be alarmed. Augustus Gloop will not be harmed. Although, of course, we must admit, we will be altered quite a bit. We'll be quite changed from what he's done. Bang, when he goes through the fudge machine. Slowly the wheels go round and round. The cogs begin to grind and pound. 100 knives go slice, slice, slice. We add some cooked sugar, cream, and spice. We boil them for a minute more until we're absolutely sure that all the grease and all the gall is boiled away for once and all. And out he comes, and now by grace a miracle has taken place. This boy who only just before was loathed by men from shore to shore. This greedy brute, this loud as ear, is loved by people everywhere. For who could hate or bear a grudge against a luscious bit of fudge?
Waiters by Marianne Coleman. Dining with his older daughter, Dad forgot to order water. Daughter quickly called the waiter. Waiter said he'd bring it later. So she waited, did the daughter, till the waiter brought her water. When he poured it for her later, which one would you call the waiter?
A Pirate Song by William Cuthbert Robb. When I grow up, I'm going to be a pirate.
Sailing on the deep blue sea.
With a pirate crew and a Jolly Roger too.
And the captain of the ship will be me.
We'll have guns and daggers and cutlasses and knives.
And pieces of ink by scores.
And Spanish doubloons and diamonds too.
And chests full of gold d'ors.
We'll shout yo-ho.
And a bat.
And belay.
As we sail on the tropical isles.
And we'll capture and break all the ships we overtake.
And we'll throw the crews to the crocodiles.
We'll have salted pork and hardtack for dinner every day.
And sausages and shrimp for tea.
And we'll all go paddling and bathing where we like.
Oh, come, be a pirate with me.
Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, Cantus 27, Paradise. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost. All paradise began, so that the melody inebriated me. What I beheld seemed unto me a smile of the universe. For my inebriation found an entrance through the hearing and the sight. O joy, O gladness inexpressible, O perfect life of love and peacefulness, O riches without hankering secure.
by Roald Dahl. The animal I really dig, above all others, is the pig. Pigs are noble, pigs are clever, pigs are courteous. However, now and then, to break this rule, one meets a pig who is a fool. What, for example, would you say if strolling through the woods one day, right there in front of you, you saw a pig who built his house of straw? The wolf who saw it licked his lips and said, "That pig has had his chips. Little pig, let me come in." "No, no, Mother, here's my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll hop and I'll pop and I'll blow your house in." The little pig began to pray, but Wolfie blew his house away. He shouted, "Bacon, pork, and ham! Oh, what a lucky wolf I am!" And though he ate the pig quite fast, he carefully kept the tail to last. Wolf wandered on, a trifle bloated. Surprise, surprise, for soon he noted another little house for pigs, but this one had been built of twigs. Little pig, let me come in." "No, no, Mother, here's my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll hop and I'll pop and I'll blow your house in." Wolf said, "Okay, here we go." He then began to blow and blow. The little pig began to squeal. He cried, "Oh, Wolf, you've had one meal. Why can't we talk and make a deal?" The wolf replied, "Not on your Nelly." And soon the pig was in his belly. "Two juicy little pigs," Wolf cried. "But still, I'm not quite satisfied. I know how full my tummy's bulging, but oh, how I adore indulging." So creeping quietly as a mouse, the wolf approached another house, a house which also had inside a little piggy trying to hide. "You'll not get me!" the piggy cried. "I'll blow you down," the wolf replied. "You'll need," pig said, "a lot of puff, and I don't think you've got enough." Wolf puffed and blew and blew. The house stayed up as good as new. "If I can't blow it down," Wolf said, "I'll have to blow it up instead. I'll come back in the dead of night and blow it up with dynamite." Pig cried, "You brute, I might have known." Then picking up the telephone, he dialed as quickly as he could the number of Red Riding Hood. "Hello," she said, "who's speaking, who?" "Oh, hello, Piggy, how do you do?" "I need your help, Miss Hood." "Oh, help me, please, do you think you could?" "I'll try, of course," Miss Hood replied. "What's on your mind?" "A wolf!" Pig cried. "I know you've dealt with wolves before, and now I've got one at my door." "My darling pig," she said, "my sweet, that's something really up my street. I've just begun to wash my hair, but when it's dry, I'll be right there." A short while later, through the wood, came striding brave Miss Riding Hood. The wolf stood there, his eyes ablaze and yellowish like mayonnaise. His teeth were sharp, his gums were raw, and spit was dripping from his jaw. Once more the maiden's eyelid flickers. She draws the pistol from her knickers. Once more she hits the vital spot and kills him with a single shot. Pig, peeping through the window, stood and yelled, "Well done, Miss Riding Hood!" "Ah, Piglet, you must never trust young ladies by the upper crust. For now Miss Riding Hood, one notes, not only has 2 wolfskin coats, but when she goes from place to place, she has a pigskin traveling case."
Curfew Must Not Ring Tonight by Rose Hartwick Ford. Slowly England's sun was setting o'er the hilltops far away, filling all the land with beauty at the close of one sad day. And the last rays kissed the forehead of a man and maiden fair. He with footsteps slow and weary, she with sunny floating hair. He with bowed head, sad and thoughtful, she with lips all cold and white, struggling to keep back the murmur. Curfew must not ring tonight. Sexton, Bessie's white lips faltered, pointing to the prison old, with its turrets tall and gloomy, with its walls dark, damp, and cold. "I've a lover in prison, doomed this very night to die, at the ringing of curfew, and no earthly help is nigh. Cromwell will not come till sunset," and her face grew strangely white as she breathed the husky whisper, "Curfew must not ring tonight." Bessie calmly spoke the sexton, and his accents pierced her heart, like the piercing of an arrow, like a deadly poison dart. Long, long years I've rung the curfew from that gloomy shadowed tower. Every evening, just at sunset, it has tolled the twilight hour. I have done my duty ever, tried to do it just and right. Now I am old, I still must do it. Curfew girl must ring tonight. Wild her eyes and pale her features, stern and white her thoughtful brow, and within her secret bosom, Bessie made a solemn vow. She had listened while the judges read, without a tear or sigh. At the ringing of curfew, Basil Underwood must die. And her breath came faster and faster, and her eyes grew large and bright, As in undertone she murmured, "Curfew must not ring tonight." With quick steps she bounded forward, sprang within the old church door, left the old man threading slowly past he'd often trod before. Not one moment paused the maiden, but with eye and cheek aglow, mounted up the gloomy tower where the bell swung to and fro. As she climbed the dusty ladder on which fell no ray of light, up and up her white lips saying, "Curfew shall not ring tonight." She has reached the topmost ladder, o'er her hangs the great dark bell. Awful is the gloom beneath her, like the pathway down to hell. Lo, the ponderous tongue is swinging. 'Tis the hour of curfew now, and the sight has chilled her bosom, stopped her breath, and paled her brow. Shall she let it ring? No, never. Flash her eyes with sudden light, and she springs and grasps it firmly. Curfew shall not ring tonight. Out she swung, far out. The city seemed a speck of light below. She twixt heaven and earth suspended, as the bell swung to and fro. And the sexton at the barrow, old and deaf, heard not the bell, but he thought it still was ringing. Fair young Basil's funeral knell. Still the maiden clung more firmly, and with trembling lips and white, said to hush her heart's while beating, "Curfew shall not ring tonight." It was o'er, the bell ceased swaying, and the maiden stepped once more, firmly on the dark old ladder, where for 100 years before, human foot had not been planted, but the brave deed she had done should be told long ages after, often as the setting sun should illume the sky with beauty, aged sires with heads of white. Long should tell the little children, curfew did not ring that night. O'er the distant hills came Cromwell. Bessie sees him, and her brow, full of hope and full of gladness, has no anxious traces now. At his feet she tells her story, shows her hands all bruised and torn, and her face so sweet and pleading, yet with sorrow, pale and worn. Touched his heart with sudden pity, lit his eye with misty light. Go, your lover lives, said Cromwell. Curfew shall not ring tonight.
Matilda who told lies for fun Matilda who told lies for fun and was burned to death. Matilda told such dreadful lies it made one gasp and stretch from his eyes. Her aunt, who from her earliest youth had kept a strict regard for truth, attempted to believe Matilda. The effort very nearly killed her, and would have done so had not she discovered this infirmity. For once, towards the close of day, Matilda, growing tired of play, and finding she was left alone, went tiptoe to his telephone, and summoned the immediate aid of London's noble fire brigade. Within an hour the gallant band came pouring in on every hand, from Putney, Hackney, Downs, and Bow, with courage high, hearts aglow. They galloped, roaring through the town. Matilda's house is burning down. Inspired by British cheers and loud proceedings from the crowd, they ran their ladders through a score of windows on the bottom floor, and took particular pains to souse the pictures up and down the house, until Matilda's aunt succeeded in showing them that they were not needed, and even then she had to pay to get those men to go away. It happened that a few weeks later, her aunt was off to the theater to see that interesting fight, the second Mrs. Tanqueray. She had refused to take her niece to hear this entertaining piece, a deprivation just and wise, to punish her for telling lies. That night a fire did break out. You should have heard Matilda shout. You should have heard her scream and fall, and throw up the window and call to people passing in the street. The rapidly increasing heat encouraged her to obtain their confidence, but all in vain, for every time she shouted, "Fire!" they only answered, "Little liar." Therefore, when her aunt returned, Matilda and the house were burned.
The Duel by Eugene Field. The Guinness dog and the calico cat side by side on the table sat. It was 12:30, and what do you think? Not one nor the other except a wink. The old Dutch clock and the Chinese plate appeared to know as sure as fate there's going to be a terrible spat. I wasn't there, I simply state what was told to me by the Chinese plate. The Guinness dog went bow wow wow, and the calico cat replied meow. The air was littered in an hour or so with bits of gingham and calico.
while the old Dutch clock in the chimney plays up with its hands before its face, for it had always dreaded a family row. Now mind, I'm only telling you, the old Dutch clock declares it's true. The Chinese plate looked very blue and wailed, "Oh dear, what shall we do?" But the Gingham dog and the calico cat wallowed this way and tumbled that, employing every tooth and claw in the awfulest way you ever saw. And oh, how the Gingham and calico flew! Don't fancy I exaggerate. I got my news from the Chinese plate. Next morning, where the two had sat, they found no trace of dog or cat. And some folks think until this day that burglars stole that pair away. But the truth about the cat and pup is this: they ate each other up. Now, what do you really think of that? The old Dutch clock told me so, and that is how I came to know.
Speechless was my little lamb, waiting here for me. Without words you sing to me the music of the spirits. Rising each morning, radiant sun, I kneel to greet thee. Each day your body broken open on the altar of Calvary. I have come to see you, O silent one, under lock and key. You are unspoken and unspeakable, but at your word are we. My name, sweet upon your lips, spoken, I came to be. Without words you sing to me the music of the spheres. When I shut out the noises and look inside to find you there, only then can I hear your silent word, the music of the spheres. I have come to see you, O silent one, under lock and key. With right words and music, I also hear your silence there, a silence breaking through the deafening noises where, without words you sing to me the music of the spheres. The tabernacle prison you've chosen so I can find you there. One day, your silence resounds in my heart, where I imprison you for eternity. I have come to see you, O silent one, under lock and key. Without words you sing to me the music of the spheres.
They held a council standing before the river gate.
time was there, ye may well guess, for musing or debate. But spake the council roundly, the bridge must straight go down. For since Janiculum is lost, naught else can save the town. Just then a scout came flying, all wild with haste and fear. To arms, Sir Consul, us Porsenna is here. On the low hills to westward, the council fixed his eye, and saw the swarthy storm of dust rise fast along the sky. And nearer fast and nearer doth the lead whirlwind come, and louder still, and still more loud, from underneath the rolling cloud, is heard the trumpet's warnal crowd, the trampling and the hum. And plainly and more plainly, now through the gloom appears, far to left and far to right, in broken gleams of dark blue light, the long array of helmets bright, the long array of spears. Then out spake brave Horatius, the captain of the gate.
To every man upon this earth death cometh soon or late, and how command I better than facing fearful odds, with the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Hew down the bridge, Sir Consul, with all speed ye may, and I, with few more to help thee, will hold the fair flame. In the yon straight path 1,000, we may be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either hand and keep the bridge between?
Then out spake Spurius Lartius, Arabian proud was he. Lo, I will stand at thy right hand and keep the bridge with thee. Then out spake brave Herminius, of Titian blood was he. I will abide at thy left side and keep the bridge with thee. Horatius, quoth the consul, as thou sayest, still it be, and straight against the great array, forth went the dauntless 3. For Roman England's call spared neither land nor gold, nor limb, nor son, nor wife, nor limb, nor life in the brave days of old.
Now while the 3 were tightening their harness on their backs, the consul was the foremost man to take in hand an axe, and fathers mixed with commons seized hatchet bar and crow, and smote upon the planks above and loosed the props below. Meanwhile the Tuscan army, right glorious to behold, came flashing back the noonday light, rank behind rank like surges bright of a broad sea of gold. 400 trumpets sounded, a peal of warlike glee, as that great host with measured tread and spears advanced and ensigns spread, rolled slowly toward the bridge's head where stood the dauntless 3. The 3 stood calm and silent, and looked upon their foes, and a great shout of laughter from all the vanguard rose, and forth 3 chiefs came spurring before that deep array. To earth they sprang, their swords they drew, and lifted high their shields and flew to win the narrow way. Stout Lartius hurled down honors into the stream beneath. Herminius struck at saves, and clove him to the teeth. At Picus brave Horatius darted one fiery thrust, and the proud Umbrian's gilded arms clashed in the bloody dust.
But meanwhile axe and lever have manfully been plied, and now the bridge hangs tottering above the boiling tide. Come back, Horatius, loud cried the fathers all. Back Lartius, back Herminius, back ere the ruin fall. Alone stood brave Horatius, but constant still in mind. Thrice 30,000 foes before, and the broad flood behind. Down with him, cried false Sextus, with a smile on his pale face. Now yield thee, cried Lars Porsena, now yield thee to our grace. Round turned he, as not deigning those craven race to see. Not spake he to Lars Porsena, to Sextus not spake he, but he saw on Palatinus the white porch of his home, and he spake to the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome.
O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, a Roman's life, a Roman's arms, take thou in charge this day. And so he spake, and speaking sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back plunged headlong in the tide. No sound of joy or sorrow was heard from either bank, but friends and foes in dumb surprise, with parted lips and straining eyes, stood gazing where he sank. And one above the surges, they saw his crest appear, while Rome sent forth a rapturous cry, and even the ranks of Tuscany could scarce forbear to cheer. And now he feels the bottom, now on dry earth he stands, and round him throng the fathers, to press his gory hands. And now with shouts and clapping, and noise of weeping loud, he enters through the river gate, borne by the joyous crowd. They gave him of the cornland, that was of public right, as much as 2 strong oxen could plow from morn till night. They made a molten image, and set it up on high, and there it stands unto this day, to witness if I lie. It stands in the Herminium, played for all folk to see, Horatius in his harness, halting upon one knee, and underneath his shaping bows. When the good man mends his armor and trims his helmet's plume. When the good wife shuttle merrily goes flashing through the loom. With weeping and with laughter, still is the story told, how well Horatius kept the bridge in the brave days of old.
Look Up by Gary Turk. I have 422 friends, yet I am lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me. The problem I have sits in the spaces between, looking into their eyes or at a name on a screen. I took a step back and opened my eyes. I looked around and then realized that this media we call social is anything but. When we open our computers and it's our doors we shut. All this technology we have is just an illusion of community, companionship, a sense of inclusion. Yet when we step away from this divisive delusion, we awaken to see a world of confusion. We are at our most happy with an experience we share, but is it the same if no one is there? Be there for your friends, and they'll be there too. But no one will be if a group message will do. We edit and exaggerate, we crave adulation, we pretend we don't notice the social isolation. We put our words into order until our lives are glistening. We don't even know if anyone is listening. Being alone isn't the problem. Let me just emphasize that if you read a book, paint a picture, or do some exercise, you're being productive and present, not reserved or recluse. You're being awake and attentive and putting your time to good use. So when you're in public and you start to feel alone, put your hands behind your head and step away from the phone. You don't need to stare at your menu or at your contact list. Just talk to one another and learn to coexist. I can't stand to hear the silence of a busy commuter train where no one wants to talk for the fear of looking insane. Where becoming unsocial it no longer satisfies to engage with one another and look into someone's eyes. We're surrounded by children who, since they were born, watch us living like robots and think it's the norm. It's not very likely you'll make world's greatest dad if you can't entertain a child without using an iPad. So look out from your phone, shut down the display, take in your surroundings, make the most of today. Just one real connection is all it can take to show you the difference that being there can make. Be there in the moment when she gives you the look that you remember forever, as when love overtook. The time you first hold her hand and first kiss her lips, the time you first disagree but still love her to bits. The time you don't need to tell hundreds about what you've just done because you want to share the moment with just this one. The time you sell your computer so you can buy a ring for the girl of your dreams who is now the real thing. The time you want to start a family and the moment when you first hold your baby girl and get to fall in love again. The time she keeps you up at night and all you want is rest. The time you wipe away the tears as your baby flees the nest. And the time your little girl returns with a boy for you to hold. And the day he calls you granddad and makes you feel real old. The time you take in all you've made just by giving life attention, and how you're glad you didn't waste it by looking down at some invention. The time you hold your wife's hand and sit down beside her bed, you tell her that you love her, lay a kiss upon your head. She then whispers to you quietly as her heart gives a final beat, that she's lucky she got stopped by that lost boy in the street. But none of these times ever happened. You never had any of this. When you're too busy looking down, you don't see the chances you miss. So look out from your phone, shut down those displays. We have a finite existence, a set number of days. Why waste all our time getting caught in the net, as when the end comes, nothing's worse than regret. I am guilty too of being part of this machine. This digital world where we are heard but not seen, where we type and don't talk, where we read as we chat, where we spend hours together without making eye contact. Don't give in to a life where you follow that hype. Give people your love, don't give them your like. Disconnect from the need to be heard and defined. Go out into the world, leave distractions behind.
What about religion? An original poem. The begotten Son suffered for us, so why does he need to gain our trust? Our voices should sound familiar to him. We will forever need God's help to win. We will need his help to obtain eternal salvation in his name. We take what we need, give nothing in return. Instead, our hearts for him should yearn. Humans take his name in vain, but refuse to distribute any blame. World leaders commit the sin of indifferentism, slapped in the face with rampant liberalism. They have fallen into the devil's trap. They just casually sip their schnapps. They say they are protecting their nation, but they are using flawed dictation, standing for the wrong religions. Why do they call themselves Christians? Not wanting to ruin their reputation, I hope they don't see final damnation. If they could feel the hurt they cause God, maybe they wouldn't see Catholicism as odd. I'm sure they cause our Lord such pain each time they take his name in vain, but apparently that's not discriminating. Little do they know how much they are isolating. Leaders have such audacity to commit such blatant blasphemy. They choose not to believe and instead live in a world of deceit. They turn their eyes away when they meet God's every day. So may all these politicians see how they've treated the Almighty. God still loves and forgives them, even through all of their mayhem. All over the world, people hurt our religion, but those people don't care one smidgen. I hope they start to confess their sins before the final judgment begins. I dare to say, what about religion?
Kubla Khan, or A Vision in a Dream, a Fragment, by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where out the sacred river ran, in caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground, with walls and towers were girdled round, and there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree, and here were forests ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill, athwart a cedar cover, a savage place as holy and enchanted, as air beneath the waning moon was haunted, by woman wailing for her demon love. And from this chasm, with ceaseless tremorial seeping, as if the world in fast, thick pants was reaping, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift, half-intermitted burst, huge fragments bolted, like rebounding hail, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. And mid these dancing rocks, at once and ever, it flowed up momently the sacred river, 5 miles meandering with amazing motion. Through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard with mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of mountain born. Could I revive within her symphony and song? To such delight would win me, that music loud and long, and I would build that dome here, that sunny dome, those caves of ice, and all who heard would see it there, and all would cry, beware, beware, his flashing eyes, his floating hair, weave a circle round him thrice, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise.
Paul Revere's Guide by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Now listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride Paul Revere On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British marched by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light. One if by land, two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, for country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said good night, and with muffled oar, silently rowed to Charlton shore. Just as the moon rose above the bay, we're swinging wide as the morning's lay. The Somerset, British man-of-war, the Phantom ship, with his mast and spar, across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified in his own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend, through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears, till in the silence, randomly hears the muster of men on the bare doors, the sound of arms, the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grandiers marching down to the boats on the shore. Then he climbs to the tower of the church, up the wooden stairs with a stealthy tread, to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch. On the somber rafters, round and made, masses moving shapes of shade, by trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down, a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath in the churchyard lay the dead, in the night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still, that he could hear like a sentinel's tread, the watchful night wind as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper, all is well. For a moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly, all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay. A line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now he gazed on the landscape far near, then impetuous stamped the earth, and turned and tightened his saddle girth, but mostly watched with eager search the belfry tower of the Old North Church as it rose above the graves on the hill, wrapped in silence, lonely, spectral, somber, and still. And lo, as he looks on the belfry's height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till fall on his sights. A second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hooves in the village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath spun pebbles in passing a spark, struck out by a steed that flies fearless and fleet. That was all, and yet, through the gloom and the light, the fate of the nation was riding that night, and the spark struck out by the steed in his flight kindled the land to flame with his heat. He has left the village and mountain steep, and beneath them, tranquil, broad and deep, is the mystic meeting ocean tides. And under the alders that skirts its edge, now soft and said, now loud on the ledge, is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides. It was 12 by the village clock, when he crossed the bridge in Medford town. He heard the crowing of the cock, and barking of the farmer's dog, and felt the breath of river fog that rises as the sun goes down. It was 1 by the village clock, when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the meeting house windows, blank and bare, gaze at him with a spectral glare, as if they all stood aghast at the bloody walk they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock, when he came to the bridge of Concord town. He heard the bleating of the flock, and the twitter of birds among the trees, and felt the breath of morning breeze blowing over the meadows brown. And one who was safe in a steeple's bed, who that day would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest in the books you have read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall. chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again. Under the trees, at a turn of the road, only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere. So through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm. A cry of defiance, and not to fear. A voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that should echo forevermore. For born on a night's wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need, the people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed and the midnight message of Paul Revere.
The Wreck of the Hesperus by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
It was the schooner Hesperus that sailed the wintry sea, and the skipper had taken his little daughter to bear him company.
Blue were her eyes as the fairy flax, her cheeks like the dawn of day, and her bosom white as the hawthorn buds that open the month of May.
The skipper he stood beside the helm, his pipe was in his mouth, and he watched how the veering flaw did blow, the smoke now west, now south.
Then up and spake an old sailor, had sailed the Spanish main. I pray thee, put into yonder port, for I fear a hurricane.
Last night the moon had a golden ring, and tonight no moon we see. The skipper, he blew a whiff from his pipe, and a scornful laugh laughed he. Colder and louder blew the wind, a gale from the northeast. The snow fell hissing in the brine, and the billows frothed like geese. Down came the storm and smote amain, the vessel in its strength. She shuddered and paused like a frightened steed, then leaped her cable's length.
Come hither, my little daughter, and do not tremble so, for I can weather the roughest gale that ever the wind did blow.
He wrapped her warm in his seaman's coat against the stinging blast. He cut a rope from a broken spar and bound her to the mast.
O Father, I hear the church bells ring. Oh, say what may it be? 'Tis a fog bell on a rock-bound coast, and he steered for the open sea.
Oh, Father, I hear the sound of guns. Oh, say what may it be? Some ship in distress that cannot live in such an angry sea. Oh, Father, I see a gleaming light. Oh, say what may it be? But the Father answered never a word. A frozen corpse was he.
Lashed to the helm all stiff and stark, his face turned to the skies. The lantern gleamed through the gleaming snow on his fixed and glassy eyes.
Then the maiden clasped her hands and prayed, that saved she might be. And she thought of Christ who stilled the wave on the lake of Galilee.
And fast through the midnight dark and drear, through the whistling sleet and snow, like a sheeted ghost the vessel swept towards the reef of Norman's woe. And ever the fitful gust between, a sound came from the land. It was the sound of the trampling surf on the rocks and the hard sea sand.
The breakers were right beneath her bows. She drifted a dreary wreck, and a whooping billow swept the crew like icicles from her deck. She struck where the white and fleecy waves looked soft as carded wool.
but the cruel rocks they gored her side, like the horns of an angry bull. Her rattling shrouds all sheathed in ice, with the masts went by the oar.
Like a vessel of glass, she stove and sank. Ho! Ho! The breakers roared. At daybreak on the bleak sea beach, a fisherman stood aghast to see the form of a maiden fair, lashed close to a drifting mast.
The salt sea was frozen on her breast, the salt tears in her eyes, and he saw her hair like the brown seaweed on the billows fall and rise.
Such was the wreck of the Hesperus, in the midnight and the snow. Christ save us all from a death like this, on the reef of Norman's woe.
Mark Antony's funeral speech from Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So, let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men, come I to speak at Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransom did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see on the Lupercal, I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me.
Gloria in Profundis, and the Word by G.K. Chesterton. There is fallen on earth for a token, a God too great for the sky. He has burst out of all things and broken the bounds of eternity. Into time and eternal land he has strayed like a thief or a lover. For the wine of the world brims over, its splendor is spilt on the sand. Who's proud when the heavens are humbled? Who mounts if the mountains fall? If the fixed stars topple and tumble, and a deluge of love drowns all? Who rears up his head for a crown? Who holds up his will for a warrant? Who strives with the starry torrent when all that is good goes down? For in dread of such falling and failing, the fallen angels fell, inverted and insolent scaling the hanging mountain of hell. But the measured of plummet and rod, too deep for their sight to scan, a rushing fall of man is the height of the fall of God. Glory to God in the lowest, the spout of the stars in fate, where thunderbolt thinks to be slowest, and lightning fears to be late. as men died for sunken gem, pursuing we hunt and hound it. The fallen star has found it in the cavern of Bethlehem. A word came forth from Galilee, a word like to a star. It climbed and rang and blessed and burnt wherever brave hearts are. A word of sudden secret hope, of trial and increase, of wrath and pity fused in fire, and passion kissing peace. A star that o'er the city world beckoned, a sword of flame, a star with myriad thunders tongued, a mighty word that came. The wedge's dart passed into it, the groan of timber waves, the ringing of the river nails, the shrieking of the plains. The hammering on the roofs at morn, the busy workshop roar, the hiss of shavings drifted deep along the windy floor. The heat-brown toiler's crooning song, the hum of human work, mingled of all the noise of crafts, the ringing word went forth. The splash of nets passed into it, the grind of sand and shell. The boat hooks clash, the boat oars jar, the cries to buy and sell. The flapping of the landed shoals, the canvas crackling free, and through all varied notes and cries, the roaring of the sea. The noise of little lives and brave, of needy lives and high, and gathering all the throes of earth, the living word went by. Earth's giants bowed down to it in empire's huge eclipse, when darkness sat above the throne, 7 thunders on her lips. The woes of cities entered it, the clang of idols falls, the screams of filthy Caesars stabbed high in their brazen halls. The dim hoarse floods of naked men, the world round snapping girth, the trumpets of apocalypse, the darkness of the earth. The wrath that brake the eternal lamp and hid the eternal hill, a world's destruction lowering, the word went onward still. The blaze of creeds passed into it, the hiss of horrid fires, the headlong spear, the scarlet cross, the hair shirt, and the briars. The cloistered brethren's thunderous chant, the errant champion's song. The shifting of the crowns and thrones, the tangle of the strong, the shattering fall of crest and crown and shield and cross and coat, the tearing of the gods of time, the blight of prince and pope. The rain of ragged millions leaped to wrench a loaded debt. Loud with the many-throated roar, the word went forward yet. Song of wheels passed into it, the roaring and the smoke, the riddle of the wanton wage, the fogs that burn and choke, the breaking of the girths of gold, the knees that creep and swell, the strengthening hope, the dazing light, the deafening evangel. Through kingdoms dead and empires damned, through changes without cease, with earthquake, chaos, born and fed, rose, and the word was peace.
An excerpt from The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Part 1. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of 3, by thy long grey beard and glittering eye. Now wherefore stoppest thou me?
The bridegroom's doors are opened wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set, mayst hear the merry din.
He holds him with his skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me grave your blue, eftsoons his hand doth he.
He holds him with his glittering hand. Aye, the wedding guest stood still, and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner hath his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner.
The ship was cheered, the harbor cleared, merrily did we drop.
below the hill, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till o'er the mast at noon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he heard the loud bassoon.
The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she. Nodding the heads before her goes the merry minstrelsy.
The wedding guest he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner.
And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with his overtaking wings, and chased us south along. With sloping mast and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow, stretched the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and south the line we fled. Listen, stranger, mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold. The ice mast high came floating by, as green as emerald.
And through the drifts, the snowy cliffs, did send a dismal sheen. Nor shapes of men, nor beasts we ken, the ice was all between.
The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked, it growled, it roared and howled, like noises in a swound.
At length did cross an albatross, through the fog it came, as if it had been a Christian soul, we hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it near had eat, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit, the helmsman steered us through.
A good south wind sprung up behind, the albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow.
In mist or cloud, on mast or shroud, it perched for vespers 9, whiles all the night through fog smoke white glimmered the white moonshine.
God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why lookst thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. Part 2.
The sun now rose upon the right, out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea.
And the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow.
And I had done a hellish thing, and it would work in woe. For all the bird I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. Ah, wretch, said they, such birds to slay, that made the breeze to blow. Nor did nor red like an angel's head, the glorious sun of bliss. For all the bird I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. 'Twas right, said they, such birds to slay, that bring the fog and mist. The fair bees flew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea.
Down dropped the breeze, the sails dropped down. 'Twas sad as sad could be, and we did speak, only to break the silence of the sea.
All in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon. Right up above the mast it stand, no bigger than the moon.
Day after day, day after day, we stuck nor breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean.
Water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink.
The very deeps did rot, O Christ, that ever this should be. Yea, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea.
About, in reel and rout, the death fires danced at night. The water, like the witches' oils, burned green and blue and white.
And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathom deep he had followed us from the land of mist and snow.
And every town,
though ever drought, was withered at the root. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot.
Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung.
William Wordsworth. A simple child that lightly draws its breath and feels its life in every limb, what should it know of death? I met a little cottage girl. She was 8 years old, she said. Her hair was thick with many a curl that clustered round her head. She had a rustic woodland air, and she was wildly clad. Her eyes were fair, and very fair. Her beauty made me glad. Sisters and brothers, little maid, how many may you be? How many? 7 in all, she said, and wondering looked at me. And where are they? I pray you tell. She answered, 7 are we. 2 of us at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. 2 of us in the churchyard lie, my sister and my brother. And in the churchyard cottage, I dwell near them with my mother. You say that 2 at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. Yet ye are 7? I pray you tell, sweet maid, how this may be. Then did the little maid reply, 7 boys and girls are we. 2 of us in the churchyard lie, beneath the churchyard tree. You run about, my little maid. Your limbs, they are alive. If 2 are in the churchyard laid, then ye are only 5. Their graves are new. They may be seen, the little maid replied. 12 steps or more from my mother's door, and they are side by side. My stockings there I often knit, my kerchief there I hem, and there upon the ground I sit and sing a song to them. And often after sunset, sir, when it is light and fair, I take my little porringer and eat my supper there. The first that died was Sister Jane. In bed she moaning lay, till God released her of her pain, and then she went away. So in the churchyard she was laid, and when the grass was dry, together round her grave we played, my brother John and I. And when the ground was white as snow, and I could run and slide, my brother John was forced to go, and he lies by her side. How many are you then, said I, if they 2 are in heaven? Quick was the little maid's reply. Oh, master, we are 7. But they are dead. Those 2 are dead. Their spirits are in heaven. 'Twas throwing words away, for still the little maid would have her will, and said, nay, we are 7.
The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I had wished tomorrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently, my soul grew stronger, hesitating, then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I was scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness, there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing,
doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, nothing more. Back into my chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely there's something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obscenence made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marveled at this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly. Those answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon sculptured bust just above his chamber door, with such name as nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did abhor. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered. Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by a reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is only stock in store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy bore of nevermore. But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking, fancy unto fancy, with this ominous bird of yore, with this grim, ungainly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore, meant and croaking, nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, under cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er. But whose velvet violet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er? She shall pass, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfume from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by his angel he hath sent thee. Respite, and nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. O quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil. Whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by whore haunted. Tell me, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell the soul sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Let be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still sitting on that pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, and his eyes had all the seeming of a demon that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted, nevermore.
We just need a few minutes for the judges to do some final tabulations before we announce our winners. I forgot what I was going to say from there to there. Good work, Leah. That's quite a job memorizing. And of course, to all the students, all the work they put in, all the tutors who helped them. And I'm sure there's a few parents that helped out too here and there with some of that memory work as well. So a big round of applause for all those people as well. I guess what I can do, I can also let you know before we hand out our the awards that we do have a reception taking place right after. And what we'll do is after the awards are handed out, I'm going to ask all the parents and guests to make their way down to the gymnasium. And as soon as you've cleared the hall, then we'll let our students go, because I want the parents and guests to have first dibs at all the goodies down there, and the seats, and the tables. And so as soon as we're done with our presentations, we'll ask you, as I said, the parents and guests to make their way out, and the students will make their way out. There's one or two individuals I want to point out here as well, as although there wasn't a category for them or an award, I want to ask Pearson and Leonard to come forward, because they were the only duo or team or combination that performed. So if you two guys want to come up here, just so you can acknowledge you. That was just a ploy to keep from getting too antsy so they can sing. Mr. Long is frantically handing out.
Get up and sing a song.
That'll clear the hall real fast. I can tell Pete jokes.
This is brilliant because I have a stand-up comedy routine going on right now. So I'm glad it's an open mic event, including...
Hey, off you get.
Oh, come on.
We're nearly there.
Nine lessons.
9 lessons of carols. Which of our families here have been to 9 lessons in carols last year? There's somebody happened, but that's good. That is taking place on December the 17th. Yes? 16th, that day as well. December the 16th at Canadian Martyrs, correct? It's not an Assumption, it's a Canadian Martyrs this year. And it is a fantastic evening that if, for those families that aren't here, if you see them, please encourage them to come out. There'll be lots of room in the church. The scripture reading and the singing and the organ playing last year was incredible, and I'm sure that it's going to be the same this year. So please make sure you come out for that and really encourage others to come out as well so we can have a full house. All the students are involved from grade 1 right up to grade 12. And I'm sure they'll do a fantastic job again this year. What time is it? What time is it?
7.
At 7 o'clock?
It's at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Are you ready? Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. Our grade 3-4 winner, we have one winner from each category, each class. Our grade 3-4 class resuscitation winner, class winner is Max Boudreau. Our grade 1-2 class winner, Sophia. Grade 5-6, Gemma Martinez. Grade 7-8, Sebastian Britton. I was thinking of 2 other guys. Should have been Sebastian. Sebastian Britton actually plays football for the Regina Rams. So. Grade 9-10. Giselle Boudreau. And the 11-12 winner is Gabriel Berenger. Thank you especially to our judges and our parents and students and everyone. Could I ask all of our guests, please, make their way down to the